Daith da, Eubin Aken. Welcome to podcast number 125. So I'm going to try and shoot through my bit of the podcast quite quickly tonight because I've still got quite a bit to do. And I'm going to do it on a Thursday because we're actually out tomorrow evening. So I think because we don't go out very often, but then when we do it for one evening, it makes me realise how much I do get done during the evenings. So I'll just whip through my bit quite quickly, hopefully. And then the main bulk of the podcast today is our old friend, Phil Tremain. And I'm sure you'll love it. Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm trying to think where I left off last week. I did say that we was going down Perthilly for a funeral on Saturday. And if you've seen our RJ Bray Facebook page, you'll see that I did manage to get a photo looking out from the church towards Rock, right the way over to Padstow. And I think the tide was about halfway in. So twin too bad, really. It was quite a nice photo. I managed to do it with one of the Celtic crosses there just in the foreground. But all went well. The weather was beautiful. All was good. We've had yet another varied week this week at work. And well, I think for the first time for a week or two, we've actually gone to all three crematoria in Cornwall this week. As you know, we go Glyn Valley quite a bit, and then we go to Penmount in and out, and then more rarely, because it is so far away, we go to Tresswithian down at Camborne. So we've managed to do all three this week, plus a fact we've had a few burials as well. We did have Rose's funeral on Monday. Now, Rose is somebody that I got to know when I started working with Father, because Rose was the florist there in Lang's flower shop. And anybody that knows Wadebridge from years ago would know that Lang's was quite a business empire, really. Quite a business empire. You had loads of shops they had in Wadebridge and a chip shop down at Truro too. And Rose was one of the main florists there in their flower shop. And when I started, the two florists in town was Lang's and also Trelawney Garden Centre, because they did funeral flowers as well. So that was the two in the town. Sadly, neither are there no more. Well, Trelawney's still there, but they don't do funeral flowers anymore. But so that was one of our funerals we had. Tuesday, we was up St Mabon for a burial for Charity. Now, Charity is somebody that my mother knew from school days at St Mabon, and it was lovely to take her back home again. And Marion, who was doing the service, we had the burial there at the graveside, and she did a Celtic blessing, which I'm going to do directly. And it goes on about the sunshine and the wind and the rain, and I tell you what, we had everything. 1 minute the sun was shining, then it was pouring down with rain, the wind was blowing. So I thought I would, there's a bit of a link there, because I'll get on to that again in a minute. And then we went across for Gillian's funeral at St Tudy, which again, we got absolutely soaked. Absolutely soaked. Amongst the funerals we've had today was Riley's funeral. Now, Riley, I've known his family forever. And it was quite an honour, really, because they did ask me to read the Celtic blessing towards the end of his service. And it was a similar one to what Marion read a couple of days before. And like I said, I think I'll put that one at the end today for perhaps me Cornish bit or something, or instead of the dialect, because it is a lovely, lovely Celtic blessing. And then this afternoon, we was out St Mirren in the churchyard. Sun was shining. It makes you appreciate the good weather after all the rain that we've had. I tell you, it really does. But that's my week quickly rounded up, because I say I'm going to crack on. Before I do, I'd just like to thank Andrew Jenkins. I put a photo on my Facebook page because he was going through old things. As you know, sadly, his mother Anne had passed away, and he found a lovely cutting that she got out of the newspaper of my mother and father when they went to the tea party at Buckingham Palace. And I thought I must thank Andrew for that. 'Tis a booty photo, really 'tis. Right, well, that's my little bit today. I say, I knew it was going to be quick and short, but it's a bit quicker than I thought it was going to be, I tell you. But I want to hand over now to Phil. The first part, we got 2 episodes with Phil. Second part next week. And 'tis very interesting, some of the things he talks about. Some things unique almost to St. Column. So I'll hand over to Phil now, and then I'll speak to he directly. So here 'tis. Get on, Phil. How be knacking?
Splan, Dave, splan.
Oh, brilliant.
Proper job. Proper job.
It's good to meet you today.
Hi.
Shall we go right back to the beginning?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm quite, I suppose, in a way, proud to say I was born in St. Column. I was born in West Park.
All right, yeah.
In my grandmother's house. And she lived next door to the 2 district nurses, Nurse Butt and Nurse Lorimore. So one of them delivered me, and the other one looked after father downstairs, because, of course, just before the men got anywhere near the action.
Yeah.
And that was in West Park. We were living in 4th Street at the time.
I see.
By the time my brother was born 4 years later, we moved down to Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Bridge, the bottom part of St. Column, nothing to do with Weybridge. And and we lived down. I lived there until I married, and my parents lived there.
Yeah,
you know.
I say, were they St. Column family as well? Mother and father.
Mother came from Newquay. Mother was a salmon.
Oh, yes.
She lived at Trevemper Farm out on the Crantock side of Newquay, and where my cousin still farms. And so she came from there. And my father farmed at Chapel, which is, I suppose, Nance now in Newquay.
Yes. Yeah.
My grandfather farmed at Chapel, but he had bad health, and they came to live in St. Column. My paternal grandfather died when he was in his 30s, when my father was in his early teens. And so father and his brother lived with my grandmother here in St. Column, and it was my paternal grandmother's house that I was born in. So father joined the RAF during the war, and went off. He got as far as Ceylon, I think. He was an instrument fitter and worked on aircraft. And then when he came back, he went back to the job he'd had before in Walkie's Ironmongers in Broad Street.
Yes.
And he he eventually became manager there. And then he and my mother, between them, bought the business. So it was their business, basically. Yeah. And that's where they worked until they retired.
Yeah.
I know a lot of especially local lads remember he used to sell Airfix kits.
Oh, did he really?
And so when these things come up on social media, people, I remember going in there and buying Airfix kits from your dad.
And then went to school. You lived St. Column all your early years, did you?
Yeah. I went to St. Column Primary School. We had the old 11 plus back then, so past the 11 plus, and we went off to Newquay Grammar.
All right. Was it a big school then, St. Column?
St. Column, only one class per year.
Yeah.
But I know my first teacher was Mrs. Cook, who was the wife of the then rector, Canon Cook. Right. And, of course, there was no playgroup or anything like that, so you sort of spent your first 5 years at home with your mother, and then one day she took you to this school and dumped you in this room full of kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I got on too well to start off with. And there weren't any classroom assistants or anything like that. So if Mrs. Cook left the classroom, I'd follow her. I wouldn't stay there on my own with all these children. And, so she went to the loo or went to make a cup of tea. I'd track on behind.
Oh, brilliant.
Dear me.
So as well as Mrs. Cook, then, can you remember any other of the teachers there?
I think the next year was Miss Linden.
Right.
And then there was Mr. Nobbs. And then there was, now let me think, it was Alwyn Riley, I think, who went on, he lived in St. Column and went off, I think, to be head teacher in Truro somewhere.
Right.
And Tony Olivey was also involved in that. Now, right. Tony lived in Egdersale Road for a time, didn't he?
That's right, he did, yeah.
And he when he sort of went from teaching to the ministry, and became vicar of St. Neot.
Yeah.
And again, I remember a story at school with Tony Olivey where we were doing something and I was bleating, "It's not fair, sir." And Tony's great big booming voice came back, "Life's not fair, Philip." And I thought, well, yeah, it's a very good lesson. Yeah.
Definitely.
And Mr. Bunny was the head teacher and he taught the top class.
All right.
So he was the last teacher, although we seemed to spend more time doing willow baskets and things like that we certainly didn't have to worry about SATs.
No.
But as I say, we did have the 11 plus, and then we all went off to, most of us went off to Newquay.
Yeah. Who were your schoolmates back there at the time?
Well, my best friend, sadly, we lost Dave Rickard. We both lived down at Bridge, and sadly he died of cancer 6-7 years ago now.
Yeah.
Mike Higgins, Dave Goodwin, who was at St Morgan at the time. So we met up with Dave Goodwin once we got to the grammar school, although he did move to St Column afterwards.
I see.
And then there was Lynn Julian, Lynn Bunt as is now, and Linda Higgins, Lynn Ivermy.
Yeah.
They still live in St Column.
Yeah.
Some are still here and some have moved away.
Yeah.
Some have come back.
Yes. Yeah.
Some have come back.
Yeah. So what was there to do, like playing thing when you was a youngster? Was there a park?
Yeah, there's the recreation ground. So there was a park where the football club played. We used to go and watch the football.
Oh, yeah.
But Dave Rickard, as I say, my best friend, really, when we were youngsters, he introduced me to bell ringing. Because I was 11 when I started ringing. He was already ringing, and I went up to watch.
I see.
And sort of had a quick lesson and got hooked, really.
Right from there.
And yeah. And so it's thanks to him that I took up bell ringing.
Yeah.
And at that time, my family were in the Methodist church. So on a Sunday morning, I'd ring the church bells and then run up the street to go to Methodist Sunday school.
And that was it actually in the street then?
That was in the street
chapel?
where the Wesley Place car park now is. That was the Wesley Chapel.
Yes, yeah.
Because there were at least two chapels. There was the Wesley Chapel where the car park now is, and then there was what was known as Top Chapel, which is now the youth club. And I remember Canon Cook, who I referred to just now, telling a story about, I can't remember the chap's name, but apparently the Methodist Church decided to close the Top Chapel and they'd all go to the bottom chapel. But of course, some weren't too keen on that. And this chap met Cookie, affectionately known, in the street and said, I'm going to shut my chapel, Canon. He said, I've decided I'm going to give up religion and come to church. And the following Sunday morning, he appeared in church because he'd rather go to the Anglican church than he would go to the other chapel.
Yeah.
And, it's, and we laugh about it now, and it's just strange, isn't it, how these things, and I'm sure the same would apply elsewhere or in other walks of life.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh, that's good. So then it was Newquay School, do you say you went to?
Well, it was Newquay Grammar School.
Grammar School. Yeah,
and then we sort of went comprehensive halfway through
I see.
our education, I think after the first three or 4 years. So we moved over then to what is now a part of Tretheris.
Oh, right.
But it was a separate school at that time, Newquay School.
Right.
But it was clear that they built it onto Tretheris with corridors with walls blocked up. So that it was clear that one day, eventually, the whole thing was going to come in together, which it did.
Yeah. And that was what, from 11 till 16?
For 11 until 18, because I stayed there and did A-levels.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I did A-levels, and I went for a very short period of time to university, and came home again. I think I say I went off to university as a very immature 18-year-old and decided it wasn't for me. So came back again, and in later years, I did no university degree just to prove to myself I could do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think there was an assumption, especially at the grammar school then, that everybody, you went through the process, you did your A-levels and you went off to uni. Yeah. That might be an unfair, but it seemed to me there wasn't a lot of choice. That was assuming that was what you were going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So life would have been very different, probably, because I guess I might well not have come back, or I don't know, I might have come back. Who knows?
No.
Yeah.
Well, most of my friends that went to university, they never come back.
No.
No. Once they were left, that was it.
But some do, and some of my school friends have come back to Cornwall when they retire, and here in St Column, there's at least one I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened when you came back then? What work did you get into?
Well, for a year or two, I worked in my dad's shop because they had the business, so I worked for them. And interestingly, during that time, the local fire brigade were looking for people who could provide cover,
right?
In particular during the working day. And because I worked in the shop in St. Column, so in 76 it was, I joined the fire brigade here in St. Column, and that was a very enjoyable and interesting time. I think I was in the brigade for 8 years.
Right, yeah.
And I've got lots of colleagues. We had some good times. We had some perhaps not so good times, and as it is, but it did me good, I think.
Yeah,
my father once said it knocked the rough edges off me, which is perhaps true. And then I then went to work at County Hall, and initially in fire control, actually taking 909 calls for 12 months. And then I did an aptitude test and found I could program computers.
Oh, right.
So I went to work in the computer section at County Hall.
Yeah.
And sometimes people say now when they have a problem with the computer, "Oh, Phil, you used to work with computers." I said, "Well, yeah, but I haven't known much about computers until it occupied the whole of the ground floor of County Hall. You know, it was a bit different then. Big spinning tapes and
yeah. And that's where the County Hall is now, is it?
That was at New County Hall.
New County Hall.
Yeah. So I did that, and that was where I then stayed until I retired. So.
Yeah. Right. So going back to the bell ringing, then obviously that's been a big part of your life.
Yes, indeed.
So right from an early age, and I say, until I met David a few years ago, I didn't even know that you had ringing competitions and everything.
No.
So
yeah, we do. We're this is Dave Williams, isn't it?
That's
Lenivet.
right.
Yeah. In fact, we're going over to Lenivet last night. If this is going out on Saturday morning, I can't say that. We went over to Lenivet last night to ring, and saw David then. Yeah. But there's a lot involved in ringing, and as with him and lots of other people, we've got lots of friends and acquaintances that we met through ringing, not just in Cornwall, but throughout the country, really.
Yeah.
You know, but I was taught to ring by Alan Rodliff, who was the vice captain then, and who was, sadly, we lost Alan just over 12 months ago.
That's right. Yeah.
But we've spent an awful lot of time on the end of a bell rope since then together.
Yeah.
And we've won quite a lot of ringing competitions, which we're quite pleased about, and done a lot of other sorts of ringing. We go off on trips.
That's right.
Go on tours.
Yeah, that's right. And so you go to visiting towns, but you get to ring the bells in their churches.
Yeah, we do. I've rung at over 1,000, nearly 1,100 different churches, I think. Really? But some people have rung at thousands. So there are about 5,500 altogether.
Yeah.
But we do that. And one of the nice things is it takes you to parts of the country that you perhaps wouldn't otherwise go, and little out-of-the-way places, even in Cornwall, that you wouldn't visit unless you were particularly going there to ring the bells.
Yeah.
So that's it's entertaining, and, work up a thirst, so you have a beer and have a meal together perhaps afterwards, and that's quite enjoyable.
That's right. I know the Eglis Ale bell ringers, outings, they used to be legendary, I think. That's another story.
I think in the old days, there was a bit of a, as I say, Alan Rodliff taught me to ring, and prior to that, there was the old ringers, and then he took on and taught a new group, really.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think in the old days, they used to say they load the back of the bus with beer, and whether they did a lot of bell ringing, no one was quite sure, but they had a good day out.
They did, yeah.
So,
and numbers still up now? You got?
Yeah, numbers are okay. The trouble is, I think we're all getting older together. So it would be good to get some newer recruits.
Yeah.
But we have taught younger ringers, but they, my own family have both learned to ring, and they're now living away, and the same happens with other people. But we're always keen to encourage recruits to teach anybody, and not just somebody young, but of any age really. But these days we tend to have people come to learn to ring who are a bit older, and as with anything, it takes longer.
Yeah,
and you see that the learning a skill like that, it takes longer if you're older.
Definitely, yeah. And hurling.
Hurling. Well, hurling, yes. Hurling, I guess hurling to St. Column is what the Obios is to Padstow and Florida is to Helston.
Yeah.
And hurling, we hurl on Shrove Tuesday, and then we do it again the following Saturday week because it's far too much fun just to do once a year.
Oh, you do it twice then?
Yeah, we do it twice a year. And I was fortunate enough to win the ball in 1977. I say I was fortunate enough. I think to win the hurling ball, you either need to be super fit and a bit lucky or moderately fit and very lucky. And I definitely fall into the latter category. But, I won the ball in 1977, which was absolutely wonderful. And if you come from St. Column, to win the hurling ball is, it really means something.
Yeah.
And the hurling ball. The way the system works, if you want to keep the ball that you won, then you buy a new one to replace it.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and this is my hurling ball, which, as you can see, Dave, is fairly battered.
Yeah.
Very battered.
So it's just a little bit smaller than a cricket ball, we'd say. It's got the seam going around it. And so if you explain what it's made of and everything to...
Well, traditionally, the ball is made with an applewood core and silver shells. So this is silver, and the two shells are fitted together over the applewood core, and then the band goes outside that with screws through into the core.
Right.
And that's the way the ball was made traditionally, and the way it's made today. Locally, Colin Rascola, a local craftsman, makes the hurling balls.
Oh, yeah.
This ball was made at a time when they were being made by a slightly different process by someone from Newquay. And in this case, the two half shells are silver soldered together with the band, and then it's filled with a resin inside to give it some solidity and to stop it from denting. This one is a little bit, you say it's slightly smaller than a cricket ball. The ball is normally these days the size of a cricket ball, just about. Yeah. And this one is a little bit too small. It's a bit too easy to hide it under your arm or do some bit of deceit, which is frowned upon. But
what's the origins of it then? Do you know?
Well, no one really knows.
But
the fact that it takes place on Shrove Tuesday looks like it's a sort of pre-Lent, bit like eating up all your milk and eggs in your pancakes before Lent. So there was, I think, some suggestion that it started out when the vicar threw the ball out of the church window to give the villagers an opportunity, or townspeople here in St. Column, an opportunity for one last sort of bit of excitement before the rigours of Lent came along. But of course, it used to be played throughout Cornwall, not just here.
Right.
It's still played at St. Ives on the beach by the children. It's played here at St. Column. But it used to be played throughout Cornwall. And there are records of games taking place between St. Column and St. Column Minor.
Really?
Where the ball was thrown up at Park and Shot on the boundary. Right. And the two church towers were the goals. It's like a wide game.
Yeah.
But yes, it used to be played throughout Cornwall. There are records of that. And I think that's one reason, well, my theory, that possibly why rugby is so strong in Cornwall.
Yeah.
Because it's this is a bit like rugby with a smaller ball.
I was going to say, so what is the rules of it then?
There aren't really any rules.
No.
I mean, here in St. Column, the townsmen play against the countrymen. So the people that live in the town play against the people that live in the rest of the parish.
Right.
There's a goal 1 mile either side of the town. One goal for the townsman, one goal for the countryman.
Right.
And to win the ball, you either have to put it in the goal or else you have to carry it over the parish boundary.
I see.
Which could be a run of 3 miles, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's quite a big expanse. The whole parish is the pitch.
Yeah.
In fact, it's in the Guinness Book of Records as being the sport with the largest pitch. So that's basically the way it takes place. And then it's just a case of you do what's acceptable. I mean, it's not acceptable to hide the ball in your pocket or anything like that.
No.
And the play takes place in the street. All the shop windows are boarded up or covered in mesh. We try and keep the game in the town for an hour to provide a spectacle for people and to warrant the effort that a lot of people have gone to. But it doesn't always happen, and sometimes someone will run off early with it.
I see. So it is like kind of rugby. So would you pass the ball?
Yeah, you pass the ball.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, there's no uniform as such. You just know who people are.
I see.
And whose team they're on.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes on. Yeah.
No,
and then in the evening, you go out and drinking silver beer, which is a gallon jug of beer poured out and bought by the winner or his friends or the landlord or whatever.
Oh, I see.
And then everybody has a drink of the silver beer.
I see.
And of course, that's not such a thing as it. I mean, I was thinking when I won the ball, there were 8 or 9 licensed establishments to visit, and now there are only 4 or possibly 5. So it's not such a rush. But
no, exactly.
Yeah, so that's the sort of
very good.
The thing off.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Phil. That was proper. I hope you enjoyed that. I thoroughly did, I must admit. I think for me, Cornish word for the week, we'll follow on from the Erlin with the Erlin bull, and we'll do the Cornish word for bull, which is pell. Pell. And instead of having Cornish dialect for the week, like I said, I think I will do the Celtic blessing that I read at Riley's funeral today. There are a couple that we use quite often, and sometimes they'll add both of them, put them both together kind of thing. But this is half of them today, and then I can do the other bit another day. But this is the one that we had today, which is very popular. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. So there we go. There is another, I think it is an Irish one, that they say, I don't know if it's a Celtic blessing or no, and I'm just looking now to say where it comes from, because it is quite a beauty, really. It comes, I think, from an Irish drinking song. But I'll just read this one just to finish everything off tonight. It says, may your glass be ever full. May the roof over your head be always strong. And may you be in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. Which I quite like. We've had that one before as well, but not quite so often as the first one. Right, well, I'm going to leave you now. I say sorry it's been a bit rushed. Hopefully things will be a bit back to normal next week. But I think you'll agree with me that Phil's interview was a beauty. So I'll speak to you next week. Wish you well. Do Ganas. Cernobis Fican.